Hello, Margaret.
Hi, Rhea. How are you?
Good, and you?
I'm great.
So I made you as a co-host, but we're
Thank
still
you.
waiting for the others.
And whenever Yusuf joins, if you can make him a co-host too, that'd be great.
Who?
Yusuf.
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
Will do.
Rhea, just FYI, I just messaged the UNHCR team asking them to join the call so they could test their so we could test the translation. Just letting you know.
Okay, great. Thank you. And we already did it also a test with the interpreters. So when they join, we'll do that again.
Great.
Hello, Mrs. Raifa.
Hello, how are you?
Good, and you?
I'm good, thank you.
We're here if you would like to do a technical test, voice
Yep.
test. Okay, I will
Yes.
ask if you can like say a few lines, and maybe the interpreters will also do some interpretation so we can test it as well.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Please start.
Shall I start?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, our esteemed guests and panelists. It's a pleasure to be with you here today to discuss the role of Islamic finance achieving the goals of SDGs. I mean, just a test.
Okay, perfect.
Enough?
It's working. Yeah. Yes, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you so
Great.
much.
Thank you.
Mrs. Raifa, just to let you know that during the discussion, you can ask people to comment or to ask questions. And as a co-host, and the same goes for all the co-hosts, you can allow them to unmute their microphones.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay.
So shall I say that at the beginning? Tell people that you can send your questions either writing or by speaking?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Hello, Mr. Khalifa.
Hello.
Hello. Can you just speak a little so we can see if we can hear you well?
Can you hear me well?
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you so much.
Hello, Khaled.
Hi, Raif. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. All is well.
Amen.
Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining earlier. We're just going to wait a few minutes until all the speakers are with us and more participants will be joining. Thank you for being with us today.
مرحبا راني، عم تسمعيني؟ يعني انجليزي شكله. الو.
في حدا ترجم؟
ايه عم بسمعك انا، عم تسمعيني؟ فينا نروح على العربي بليز؟ فينا نروح على العربي؟ يعني مرحبا. اوكي شكرا.
Yeah, just a quick reminder to everyone that we have interpretation service available. So we're going to speak in English, but Arabic translation is available. I hope everyone is familiar with how to use that on the platform. يمكن بالعربي للمشاركين اللي بفضل اللغة العربية، في ترجمة فورية متاحة عبر منصة زوم من خلال هذا الاجتماع، واللغة الأساسية التي سيتم التحدث بها هي اللغة الإنجليزية. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Sano. Thank you for being patient with us. We'll be starting in just a matter of few minutes. I can see, yes.
Professor Kutub is now with us. I think we can start.
Yeah, we're still waiting for, yeah, okay, great. I think our third speaker will be joining us soon. Shall we start? I see there is a big interest in the topic, so thank you for everyone who has joined us today. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Dear esteemed speakers, dear distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this high-level seminar on the role of Islamic financing in achieving sustainable development goals, co-organized by the United Nations and the Islamic Development Bank. My name is Raifa Makki. For those who don't know me, I'm the head of campaigns and advocacy at UNHCR MENA. And I very much appreciate today the opportunity to moderate this seminar with such distinguished speakers and at such an important moment. Over the next 2 hours, we promise you a very rich and dynamic discussion with our esteemed speakers who will generously share from their wealth of knowledge and experience in the topic. Our goal today is that whatever your role is in the industry or in this topic, that you will come away with something, a new idea, a fresh perspective, a new strategy about Islamic social financing that you can apply to achieve growth or change. Today, our speakers or the session will be in English, but as I mentioned earlier, interpretation services are available for those who prefer Arabic language. And you can participate by sending your questions either through the chat box or by unmuting yourself. We'd really like for this session to be a very dynamic discussion and that you can benefit from. Esteemed guests and speakers, in 2020, an unprecedented 80 million people were displaced. UNHCR has not seen a higher total. 24% of worldwide population live in countries that are members of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. The latter are disproportionately represented in most humanitarian crises, including the displacement crisis. Over 60% of displaced people come from OIC countries, with some of the most protracted displacement crises in the world. Countries that are members of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation are also among the top refugee hosting countries. We're talking about 3.5 million refugees being hosted in Turkey. Pakistan and Uganda as well come third and fourth globally, each hosting around 1.4 million refugees. With these displacement crises coming from member of states of the OIC, UNHCR identified a strategic and long-term alignment between Islamic philanthropy, in particular Zakat, and the humanitarian needs of forcibly displaced people. In 2019, UNHCR launched the Refugee Zakat Fund, a trusted, compliant, and effective distribution mechanism that aims to harness the power of Zakat to transform the lives of people in need, especially displaced communities all over the world. We will talk more about this in the coming session, but before that, I'd like to also give you a bit of a background of what the session will cover and what our esteemed speakers will discuss during these 2 hours. Beyond contributing to growing awareness on displacement among Islamic finance and philanthropy actors around the world, the fund, the Refugee Zakat Fund, through facilitating a platform for strategic collaboration, presents an opportunity to realize the SDGs through Islamic social finance, and today I think is a great example. Taking UNHCR's Refugee Zakat Fund as a case study today, we will discuss with our speakers the role of Islamic social finance in general and Zakat in particular in supporting refugees and IDPs, as well as the role of scholars and Islamic institutions in promoting the use of these tools, very important tools in nowadays for the humanitarian response to the displacement crisis. Without further ado, I'm honored to welcome our esteemed speakers today. I will start with His Excellency Professor Dr. Qutb Mustafa Sanu. Welcome today. It's a pleasure to talk to you again, Dr. Sanu, and to be with you.
Thank you.
I think it will take me literally a few hours to be able to explain our speakers and their history, long experience and history in the sector. But Dr. Sanu is the Secretary General of the International Islamic Fiqh Academy, an entity of the OIC. He was also given the title of Datu by the Sultan of Pang in 2007 for his services to the people of Malaysia. His career includes being the former Secretary General, Minister of Religious Affairs in his native Guinea from 2009 till 2011, before becoming Minister of International Cooperation and African Integration from 2011-2016. I think the list goes on.
Yes.
And with me today also, Sheikh Omar Subidar. Welcome today, Sheikh Omar, and it's a pleasure to be with you today. Sheikh Omar Subidar was born and raised in Toronto, Canada in 2001. The Sheikh graduated from the Alamiya program of the Institute of the Islamic Education located in Dewsbury in UK, and was granted the certificate of Scholar of Islamic Sciences and Arabic Literature from the Institute. Currently, Sheikh Subidar serves as the director of the Mathaba Institute, the Chief Operations Officer at the Halal Monitoring Authority, the founder and president of Bukhari for Publications and Bukhari Academy, the founder of Muslim for Canada, and the Khatib at the Islamic Society of Peel. He has authorized several books also around Islamic topics. It's an honor to be with you today as well, Sheikh Subidar, and to be discussing with you today this important topic. Last but not least, my colleague, Mr. Khaled Khalifa, is a professional humanitarian worker with more than 25 years of experience in relief and development. He led humanitarian operations in various settings of natural disasters and complex emergencies. My colleague, Mr. Khalifa, is well-known international trainer in disaster management and an expert on humanitarian affairs in the Middle East. In addition to his role as a representative to the Gulf Cooperation Council, Mr. Khalifa leads UNHCR's Islamic philanthropy activities globally and has been instrumental in the success of the Refugee Zakat Fund, which supported so far over 2 million beneficiaries in 13 countries since its establishment. Pleasure to be with you again, Khaled, and I think I will give the floor to you as a start to take us through the journey of the Refugee Zakat Fund and its major accomplishments. Over to you, Khaled.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Thank you very much, Raifa, and it is an honor to share the panel with His Excellency Professor Sanu and with Sheikh Omar. It is really great to see this partnership with humanity moving our agenda forward. Allow me to share the presentation. I have a few slides to share with you. Can you see it now? Great. So for a start, I just want to say that organizations engage in Islamic philanthropy for different reasons. Some engage in Islamic philanthropy because it's a good idea because it pays back, because it is a fundraising tool. However, in UNHCR, we've made Islamic philanthropy a long-term vision and a destination. It is one of the pillars of our work now, and we are glad to lead the sector within the United Nations system when it comes to Islamic philanthropy, and I hope we will continue to break ground in the future. Very quickly, an intro about UNHCR, established in 1950, over 71 years now. The organization started mainly to serve European refugees who were displaced by the Second World War, but the world has changed since. Now, as Raifa mentioned, we are supposed to cater for the needs of 82.4 million people forcibly displaced around the world, between refugees and internally displaced. 26 million refugees around the world, including the Palestinian refugees who are displaced for more than also 70 years now. The number keeps increasing. I have no doubt that by the end of the year, when we launch the figures for 2021, these are the figures of 2022, because we usually do it a year after, I am sure that this figure will increase again. As you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, the major exporters of refugees around the world are Syria, followed by Venezuela, then Afghanistan, South Sudan, and Myanmar. As you can see again, 6.7 million of the Syrian population is displaced outside of the country, and an equal number displaced within the country. However, these figures are not really the end of the story. If we translate this and try to zoom in a little bit on the Muslim world, which is the point of discussion today, the situation becomes glimmer and darker. The majority of the caseload come from member states of the OIC. We are talking about 60% at least coming from the OIC member states and hosted by also OIC member states. 21% of the people who are living in the OIC region are under the poverty line. This is a scary figure that should not be taken lightly. We are talking 1/5 of the population living under the poverty line. 28 of the 57 member states are considered food deficit countries. They have problems to provide for their populations when it comes to food and nutrition. This translates into 224 million people who need food assistance. And food is the bottom of the scale. If they need food assistance, they need everything else, basically. They will need assistance with shelter, with healthcare, with everything else. 6 out of 10 of the top fragile states in the world are OIC member states, and you can easily guess which countries we are talking about. This is an easy explanation for why we should be doing Islamic philanthropy. And if the Muslim world accounts for 50 to 60% of the total caseload, then it becomes a no-brainer to look into the Islamic history, which is very, very rich in tools that provide social solidarity. I think it's the most sophisticated system in the whole world when it comes to how people should support others. In Islam, social solidarity is not a choice. It is a fard, it's a must. You either do it or you are not a Muslim. And this is an answer to a question that people keep asking: why are we talking about Islamic philanthropy per se? And we are not talking about giving in other religions. We are. We are talking about giving in Christianity and Judaism and other religions, but the fact that the system is so sophisticated in Islam makes it easier to apply and use as a model. These are in front of you some of the tools of Islamic finance, though we are talking about more than 20 tools, but those are the tools that offer themselves lend themselves easily to implementation within the humanitarian sector. I will zoom in on our Zakat program to conclude. When we decided to engage in Zakat, we wanted to do it right. We wanted to play by the rules, to say it in a layman language. We knew and we explained to the organization that we are stepping into a system that is 14 centuries old, a system that is so sophisticated. It was established 1400 years ago before the establishment of the UN itself. So we have to respect the rules and regulations. We have to adapt. We cannot enter into this endeavor with the intention to adapt the tools. We have to enter into the endeavor with the intention to adapt our own systems to fit within the Islamic philanthropy structure. So what we did is we knew that we cannot do Zakat without the Sharia infrastructure. We obtained the required fatwas. And here I again thank His Excellency Professor Sano for being one of our pioneers to give UNHCR a fatwa, making it permissible to Muslims to channel their zakat into to refugees through UNHCR. And we have 10 fatwas from organizations that cover the whole world, from the International Fiqh Academy to the World Muslim League, Al-Azhar in Egypt, the Islamic Council of Imams in Canada, and the list goes on. So the first was to obtain the fatwas. The second was to open an interest-free account. And this is a unique endeavor in the UN system to make sure that money is not mixed together, which is another condition for doing zakat in a Sharia compliant way. The third was to make sure that 100% of the contributions go to the refugees and the displaced people, which means we cover the admin fees from other sources, basically making it a partnership between the organization and the donor. The donor provides the majority of the contribution and the organization covers the administration fees. That's how we look at it in UNHCR. If our admin fee, the standard is 6.5%, then that is our contribution in this partnership. The outcome was outstanding. In our first year, we raised $43 million, and this increased to $61 million in the second year, serving 2.1 million people worldwide in 13 countries. This is heartwarming. In only 2 years, we go from 0 to 60, but not in miles, as they say in cars. We go from 0 to $60 million, and we are hoping, inshallah, one day we will be talking in hundreds of millions of dollars, and we are talking about one tool only in Islam, one tool only in Islamic philanthropy, which is zakat. Having the zakat machinery now fully operational, fully lubricated and running, we are exploring other tools of Islamic philanthropy. By the end of the year, I hope, inshallah, we will be able to make a big announcement in relation to Awqaf, which is a very promising tool that can also offer a lot of solutions. One last point, and I will conclude, Raifa, because I personally want to listen to my colleagues on the panel, is the fact that disasters are becoming very protracted. We are dealing with displacement from Afghanistan now for 40 years. Somalia, 30 years. The Palestinians, 70 years. Syria is going into year 11 against all expectations. And here, Islamic Philanthropy offers a very good solution because the tools are very sustainable. I cannot think of a more sustainable methodology to assist others than zakat, something that is compulsory and you need to pay on an annual basis to show solidarity to those who are in need, to those who are poorer than you. So I would like to thank all our partners who made this possible. And I would like to encourage everybody to look into the model and make it more successful, because the outcome will be better assistance and people in need we will be able to reach more people in need in more countries. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Khaled, for this inspiring presentation. Every time I look at this, even as a UN staff, I get inspired again about how Islamic philanthropy tools are being really not only helping refugees meet their basic needs, but also empowering refugees to have a more positive and dignified living. Khaled, I will come back to you with another question about how this can play a bigger role at the scale of the goals of the SDGs, how UNHCR can contribute to that. Before doing that, I'd like to invite Professor Sano to join us in telling us more from the strategic partnership the International Islamic Fiqh Academy has with UNHCR. And as Khaled said, being a pioneer yourself, Professor Sano, in this aspect, to give us a few words on how you see the role of Islamic social finance, especially when it comes to humanitarian discussions and actions around the globe and also regionally. And if you can let us know more, Professor Sano, about the initiatives that is launched by the International Islamic Fiqh Academy in that aspect. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Lady Raif, and thank you very much for our beloved brother, Prof. Dr. Khaled, and all the participants. Best greetings to you from Jeddah. It is just a bit afternoon over here. It might be early morning somewhere, even in some other places. Let me congratulate you and thank you for organizing this seminar, talking about the issue which is very dear to our heart, which is the issue of our brothers and sisters who are living in that situation, which is a very critical, and we have no reason not to be at their side. We have no reason not to promote and call upon Muslims and all mankind to come to put together all whatever they do have in order to help and get these people, to bring them back to normal status as we do enjoy ourselves. Having said that, I would like to also to congratulate you and thank you very much for the partnership that with you, with UNHCR, that we have really, we look at this as one of the model that our Fiqh Academy could work in hand with other institutions which are willing to come to assist our brothers and sisters who are suffering. I was very touched with the presentation from Dr. Khaled when he mentioned the number of those Muslims who are living in this very difficult situation today. We are very concerned about all human beings, regardless of their faith, regardless of their status or religions, that whoever is living in this very, very difficult situation as refugee, he or she needs to get an assistance, she needs to get that special attention to all of us. That's why in Fiqh Academy, we do recommend to cover everybody without any distinctions between people on the basis of their faith or the basis of their religion, because we do believe that all mankind in that situation, they need to be brought back to their normal status, which is the normal, that they need to be assisted to have access to the natural needs that they have. This is the natural duty, the natural rights. It's not giving them, it's not something like we are doing favor to them, but it is an obligation upon us. Islam was from the beginning has seen this, the zakat, as an obligation, as an obligatory worship. It is the second or the third pillar of Islam. Meaning, as a Muslim, you wouldn't be very good Muslim, so wouldn't be considered except until you accept that we do have the 5 pillars of Islam. After giving the witness that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our creator and Prophet Muhammad is his messenger, and the prayer, straight away after the prayer, the zakat will come. Why it comes in the middle between these 5 pillars? You are having 2 which are mainly between you and your God. When you pray, the prayer is between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you also, you want to do, give a witness, it's between you and Allah. When you come zakat, it is a social obligations upon you as those wealthy that Allah has given them, has entrusted them the wealth. The wealth to Muslims is belong to Allah, and He could entrust anybody, and He could take it out from anybody at any time He wished to do so. So therefore, people who have been entrusted to this one, they have an obligation upon them. That's a portion of that one, 2.5, will have to go to these people who are in need, the needy, the poor, the people who are living in this situation that we are talking about it today. Saying that one, that will tell you that zakat is not just a simple, something like it's an option for Muslims to do, but it is an obligation. It is started to learn that you may have the figure that was given Prof. Khaled in terms of the number of the fund of zakat estimated in the world as of 2020-21. It is expected something, this is based on the World Bank, we have something around $550 billion, which could go up to $600 billion. Could you imagine such huge of amount of money, which is in the hands of people that have been entrusted, that they will have to have a portion of it will have to go to the people who are called the recipients. The recipients, this is the receivers of the zakat. You have no choice, but you have to send it to them. It's not just, I'm willing to give, I'm doing it. No, you must do it because it is an obligation. And this part of the money, this portion of the money is not belong to the wealthy. It's belong to the poor, belong to the needy, belong to our brothers and sisters who are in this refugees camp. They are waiting you, brothers and sisters and Muslim, to send them their part of the money that you've been entrusted. Because as you went to see a boss and the boss said, I'm giving you 1,000 US dollar and 250, I want you to give it, to hand it over to somebody. As a trustworthy person, when you receive this one, you take the 750 for yourself and 250 you must, and you ought to send it to the recipient who is waiting for you. And you've been just like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted you to be the one who will do this one there. So after this one, we are talking about 240 or 220 million Muslims today in this area, in this very critical situation, where they are living in a very, very inhuman environment. You have no access to the clean water, have no access to education, have no access even to the clean clothes that you should need, will have no access to protect themselves against the weather, and they are living in such situation. How could I be enjoying sleeping in a big luxurious environments? Why I'm having in mind that we are having more than 200 Muslims, more than 200 or 500 human beings have been deprived from having access to what we do have access to ourselves. So this is very important, is a role of the scholars all over the world. They will have to call upon, they will have to remind, they shouldn't give up, they shouldn't get tired, they shouldn't be bored. We keep to talk about it, we'll be talking about it every single hour, every single day, until we get our brothers and sisters out of the situation that they are living on. We will do it, and I will have to do it through our resolutions, through our fatwas, through our seminars and forums, wherever we will be.
Might you have done something to my computer where the...
Will be going for this and making sure that the people will listen to us at that level. Brothers and sisters, the humanitarian response to this one does not need to be demonstrated enough. And we are congratulating your organization, which has been leading such organizing such wonderful efforts to bring happiness, to allow the kids in these places to have access to education, to allow the women and the elderly people to have access to the attention to the medicament, to the health care, to allow all these people who could be, to allow even those people who could learn, who could just to get the formation, to get to be training, to have necessary access to whatever they need in order for them to help themselves and to help the humanity and the mankind at large. I'm here to tell you that Focal Academy, in our resolutions that we have made the resolution earlier, 2005 or 2006 or 7, we're very earlier from the beginning, that there's no discussion about it. People might be telling you, you may not, we need to do the zakat, will have to go to these people. The recipients of zakat, there are 8. Among those 8, these people are living in that area, refugees camp. They are entitled to have zakat, not because where they are, it's because, if it is because one of the recipients there, they need the poor. They call it sadaqat lil-fuqara wal-masakin. If they are poor, they are poor. They're entitled to have zakat because they are poor. If they are not poor, the second recipient, we talk the needy, lil-fuqara wal-masakin. They are needy. They need access to education. They need access to have the clean water. They need access to have lives, they have where they can sleep and they can spend the night. They need to have protections against the weather. So they are needy. If you don't give them on the basis that they are poor, you will have to give them because they are needy. In addition to that, you move on and they come with Ibn Sabil. They are also among those people who have been blocked. They never choose to be there. None of them, and nobody would have chosen to be in that situations. The war, human wars, the civil wars in all of the places, the natural disasters, the environment which is making it so difficult for these people, especially those who have been the victims of the conflicts, the victim of the wars. These people they have never chosen themselves, they have never by themselves to be in that places. Then they are among the recipients of zakat because they have now sabi. And nobody will begin to question about this. And then in zakat, which is a very important, Islam did not go into, you must give it to the Muslim poor, the poor Muslim must be Muslim, or needy must be Muslim, or liability must be Muslim. No, Islam was very clear about it. This is human issue. Once it's human issue, we are human before becoming Muslims, before becoming Christians, before becoming Jews. That's why we shouldn't be going to we have to go to this basic first. And then we settle the problem with that human being who is suffering, who is not having access to what he's supposed to have access to it. Then we'll move on and get the people there. Dr. Khaled has mentioned other sources of this Islamic social finance, which is very important. The Waqf also is equally having more than 700 or 800 billion in the hands of the Muslims philanthropists. What we do today, you could have a waqf for these refugees. If we are difficult, we have access, it's very difficult to have access. Waqf is in everybody, in every single human being could make it. It does not need you to become very wealthy to have a waqf. It does not need to be very, very rich man, then you can just decide to do a waqf. You could do it with the little you do have. Just put it, whatever you want to put it, to make sure that the Muslims will be, or the people will be benefiting from what you are having here. So I would rather believe that with this strategies that we are going through, with what you have adopted, which is a very wonderful one, the transparency, and then being very innovative in what you do, and very accommodative what the needs, what the people want, and you've been very transparent in handling this, is one of the main reasons for Muslims today that will be calling upon them to entrust you more, to give you more. I'm not satisfied when you talk to me about 61 million. I'm looking forward to seeing the day you will tell me I'm having 200 million or 300 million in my hands. That will be there, and I'm sure uncertain. These children, these women, these elderly people will come out from this refugee camp educated, healthy, have well-trained, and they could be part and a very, very productive part for the communities wherever they will be. I do think that is possible. If you give you more support and do not hesitate, our Majma Academy is yours. At any time, wherever you will need from us for assistance, we'll be much happy to be with you, to enable you, because we know you are doing a great job. And God bless you and bless the organization. And God help our brothers and sisters to come out from this very difficult situation. Thank you very much, Raif. That's why I'm done.
Thank you very much, Professor Sano, for this, for setting the stage for our discussion after what Khaled has mentioned about how UNHCR's Refugee Zakat Fund is contributing. But I think we're all in this session today agree that the potential is huge. And I agree with you, few millions are not acceptable, knowing the potential of the Islamic social finance tools. And with your expertise and your strategic partnership with UNHCR and your support with other partners, this wouldn't be possible. So thank you again, Professor Sano. I'll come back with you with some questions later on. Khaled, would you like to say anything before we move to Sheikh Subedar?
I think Professor Sano has said it all.
Yeah.
There's nothing left to say, and just to thank him again for this partnership. And maybe we should listen to the Sheikh, and then we can address other points. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Sheikh Subedar, thank you again for being with us today. It's really an honor to be with you and our esteemed speakers today, to get also from your expertise in the field and your long experience working with Muslim communities in Canada and around the globe about the role and potential of Islamic social finance. And my first question to you is speaking about the role of Zakat in particular, or Islamic philanthropy in particular, in the humanitarian context, and this global aspect of the potential of Islamic social finance. So merging these two things from your perspective, what do you think is needed to unleash the potential of these tools? Like, what is missing nowadays in our way of work and in the challenges that we have? What can we do as a community, as a global community, to do better so that we know for sure that we are unleashing the huge potential of Zakat in particular and Islamic social finance tools in general? Thank you, and the floor is yours.
Awesome. Well, first and foremost, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to everyone. It's morning time here where I'm in British Columbia right now. It's 5:30 in the morning. And basically what I wanted to share with all of us, right now I'm in a slaughter facility. And it's why I bring this up is because right now I am working with refugees. In this slaughter facility, they've actually employed Syrian refugees who have been displaced. Canada has brought in anywhere between, the target I believe this year is 36 to 45,000 new refugees. And you have so many of our Syrian Muslim brothers and sisters that are coming in that are looking not only just for funds, but also at the same time opportunities. Right now, just moments ago, just before I logged on, I'm here with a crew who comes from affluent backgrounds, who basically have had successful businesses in Syria, who are well educated, highly educated. And here they are right now, as I'm speaking, just right there, slaughtering chickens. And you can understand the type of thing, the psychological toll that's going to play on a person being in one position in life and coming down to another position. But then even looking for an opportunity to move ahead in life. And coming back now to this particular topic here, the first thing that we really need to realize about our religion is that we are a community-centric religion, not an egocentric religion. If we can just come to terms with this philosophy that we are community-centric, then our direction is going to be different as a community. The second thing is that now that we're community-centric, what is one of the goals, one of the objectives that we're trying to accomplish as a community? We find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in the Quran, وَمَا كَانَ رَبُّكَ لِيُهْلِكَ الْقُرَى بِظُلْمٍ وَأَهْلُهَا مُصْلِحُونَ. right? Allah is not going to do away with a community so long as the residents are engaged in reformation. Now, when we're talking about reformation, that's not just about reformation in terms of the ritualistic aspect of Islam, but in terms of social upliftment. Not only giving the funds, but giving an opportunity for them to move ahead in life. Our prime example is what happened in Madinatul Munawwara, right? When you had the Muslim refugees and migrants from Makkatul Mukarramah coming into a situation where they have absolutely nothing. And now the doors are being opened to them and opportunities are being granted to them. So وَالَّذِينَ تَبَوَّأُوا الدَّارَ وَالْإِيمَانَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ يُحِبُّونَ مَنْ هَاجَرَ إِلَيْهِمْ. Look at that one. يُحِبُّونَ مَنْ هَاجَرَ إِلَيْهِمْ وَلَا يَجِدُونَ فِي صُدُورِهِمْ حَاجَةً مِمَّا أُوتُوا وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ. That is such a powerful verse, because if you think about it, you have this community here in Madinatul Munawwara, the indigenous, the Aus and the Khazraj, the Ansar as we know them, opening up their doors. They're already the residents, the Bawa'ud Dar, they're already the indigenous people there. And they've already now adopted faith, they've adopted Iman, wal Iman min qablihim. They love, yuhibbuna man hajara, they love those individuals that are migrating to them. Now, this is the first thing that we need to ask. Do we genuinely have that love for our Muslim brothers and sisters that have been displaced, that are in refugee camps, or in our case, coming here and they're just basically now lost? So the first thing is that, do we have that love inside us? We're asking what's missing. This is a big thing that's missing, okay? يُحِبُّونَ مَنْ هَاجَرَ إِلَيْهِمْ وَلَا يَجِدُونَ فِي صُدُورِهِمْ حَاجَةً. They themselves don't feel any form of, haja has been interpreted as hasad according to some. They don't have any jealousy over the fact that they're getting assistance over themselves, وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ, even though they themselves have their own needs. So the first thing is having that selflessness inside us, that, our brothers, our Muslim brothers and sisters that are in those camps, that have been displaced, and these are not people that were not trying in life. These are circumstances that have been brought onto them that they were not welcoming. They didn't put themselves in a position and to aim for this and to end up like this. It's a circumstance that has been brought upon them. And this is not only a test for them, wallahi al-azim, is a test for us as well. That what are we going to do now in terms of islah? Are we going to be like those people who Allah praises? وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. Are we going to be like those people? Or are we just going to sit back in our armchair and just, express a few words of remorse and sadness? Oh, it's such a bad situation. Oh, the government should be doing this, or this organization should be doing that. I need all of us to ask one thing. What am I, as a Muslim who says La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, going to do, irrespective of where I am in this world, because we are all one global brotherhood. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَ أَخَوَيْكُمْ. That's all I'd like to share for now, inshallah. And hopefully, I do appreciate the opportunity to be with this esteemed organization. Our partnership has just been just around a year right now. And I do look forward to contributing to this organization and all of its different projects.
Thank you very much, Sheikh Subedar. I think that was a very, very touching intervention from your end. I think you answered it simply by opening our doors and hearts to refugees. That's the first action we can take, so the rest can follow. So thank you so much for your intervention. I'll come back to you with some questions, and I'd like to take the opportunity also to thank you for your partnership with UNHCR. We're also very honored to be working with incredible and supportive figures such as yourself. I'd like to go back to my colleague Khaled, and just listening to these amazing interventions and supportive words about the need to support refugees, the need to really build more on the potential of the tools, Islamic finance tools and Islamic philanthropy. I'd like to ask you, Khaled, here, how do you think we can capitalize more, having support from Islamic institutions and pioneers in this domain, like the panelists and the esteemed speakers we have today, having a strong Zakat program that we have established over the years. So how do you think, what's needed more? I mean, I think this is maybe the main topic, is that how we can take things to the next level from your perspective.
Thank you, Raifa, and I join you also in thanking Brother Sobidar, and I'm looking very much forward to seeing you in person very soon in Canada. Inshallah, I'm coming next month. So it will be a great pleasure to meet you in person and discuss this partnership that is very successful, and we are creating also a model in North America to be followed. So thank you. And the question, Raifa, how to optimize the process, probably. I mean, the process is working now, is progressing, and that is very important, that we are not going back, we are actually gaining momentum. This is very good, but keeping the momentum, as you rightly asked, is a different story. It requires a different mindset. And I think from my perspective and from where I sit leading the Islamic Philanthropy team of UNHCR, the main challenge is maintaining our credibility going forward, making sure that we do not commit mistakes when it comes to Sharia compliance, that we do not let our donors down, that we continue expanding the reach of the program, because until now we haven't reached everywhere where we could do zakat, and continue working on the internal dynamics inside the organization to make sure that Islamic philanthropy is fully institutionalized. And this is a challenge within the UN system and any large organization, to make sure that this is becoming part and parcel of the way the organization functions, so that it continues after you and I are not here. And this is very important, that if the people who started the program are not there anymore, that the program continues to grow and continues to serve people. So there is an internal challenge, and this is up to us to handle and to be aware of it. I think this is the first point, to be aware of the challenge. And there is an external challenge, and that's where we need partners like the International Fiqh Academy, like our partners in Canada, like many other partners around the world, because we are only scratching the surface. As Professor Sano said, the pool is huge. We are talking, according to some estimates, hundreds of billions of dollars. So what we are reaching now is only the tip of the iceberg, and we can do much, much more. We want to convey to Muslim organizations around the world, and this is an important point, that it is actually an opportunity to work with UNHCR. How better can it get than an organization that can reach very far in places where most NGOs actually cannot operate without problems? For Muslim organizations, and we have to be very realistic in this regard, Muslim organizations face challenges that probably other organizations do not, which is not fair, but it is the reality of the world where we are living in. Can you transfer money easily to operations in Somalia, in Yemen, in Afghanistan without raising questions and without having problems? We are offering to partner to be your implementation arm on the ground, and for free. How better can it get? We are hoping to reach far and wide and in a very credible manner, and establish a model that keeps growing and creates a snowball to serve the maximum number of people in the world. Just two very small points to conclude. One, is that the rights-based approach that we are talking about in the humanitarian sector is coming from Islam, actually, is coming from the zakat concept itself. وَفِي أَمْوَالِهِمْ حَقٌّ مَعْلُومٌ لِلسَّائِلِ وَالْمَحْرُومِ. And this is probably the first mention of the rights-based approach in history. And the second is crowdfunding. I think zakat was the first institutionalized crowdfunding system in the world where people put their money together to serve a unified cause. Thank you.
Thank you, Khaled. I agree on that point. Crowdfunding, now the term that all organizations use, but I think it started really thousands of years back with the initiative of zakat. And I just would like to invite Professor Sano to tell us more. You actually started your intervention with the importance of zakat for not only Muslim communities, but everyone who's in need. Professor Sano, from your perspective, how do you think, beyond zakat and Islamic philanthropy, how do you think Muslim scholars in particular can contribute to the cause, to the refugee cause at the local and global level? Is there a role that you think they can play at a bigger scale in endorsing and giving more support to this topic? Thank you.
Thank you, Lady Raifa. I think it is very interesting, as Dr. Khaled has mentioned clearly. The need over here, it is a job that all of us will have to do his or her part in this. It is a global challenge. It is a human issue. It has to be done by every single human being, whatever you could do. The scholars have more obligations than anyone else because they need to clarify, they need to call upon, they need to remind the Muslims, they need to remind all the wealthy and philanthropic people. Those who are not willing to send the zakat, they could send awqaf, they could send sadaqat, they could send even nudhur kafarat. So you are having it, Islamic social finance has not only on this issue, it's not only for zakat, you are having even the wills. Good Muslims could make the wills. As the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Sa'd bin Waqqas was saying, he was thinking that he's going to die, and he asked the Prophet, he wants to make the wills. That the wills also could be something we could be sent. Those people are wealthy among us. Those people are having whatever level. That's why I was saying we should not be only having talk about the zakat. Zakat is one of the institutions for this Islamic social finance, but you are having other institutions that are having the same importance like zakat. The zakat is because it is compulsory. It is an obligation. It has to do with the Muslims, and it has to do with his own faith or her faith. He must not just forget that it is one of the pillars of Islam. What the scholars will have to do, they have to get away from all of those discussions. Sometimes they say you have to differentiate between Muslims and non-Muslims. In Fiqh Academy, Fiqh Academy is an institution, the highest Muslim jurisprudential institutions in the world, because you are having the membership of all the schools of thought, all the schools of jurisprudence. In that schools, we decided that any opinion, any view, which is going to say you need to differentiate between the mankind or human being and that area has to be taken away. It doesn't reflect Islam, because zakat is not one of the conditions the recipients to be Muslims. It's not said. There are a few views are saying this, but they are the minority that we have to get away from that. Then the scholars will have to clarify this one. We'll have to encourage, we have to just remind the wealthy that they will have to do giving away, because when the wealth was given to them, that God who gave it to them, who entrusted them, did not tell them you have to differentiate when you reach that, because they are human beings, they are mankind, and they have the same needs, and they need to get the assistance from all of us. The scholars also, in terms of these reminders, they will have to talk about other sources of this financing, other sources that they need to go for awqaf. Waqaf today is known to be acceptable. The people who could do it. You could donate the waqaf for taking care of the education of the refugees' children, taking care of the women who are having in different situations, having a fund and put it in the waqaf. You have the temporary waqaf And then you have the one which is last for this. So in terms of the buildings, in terms of even the money, we are saying the one they have money, waqaf money, which is the money you could make the waqaf for 24 hours, for 48 hours. I have a quantity of money in my hand. I do not want the money to stay to last. I would have I would call upon Dr. Khaled that we could think together what the quality in Arabic, the waqf al-nuqud. Then the nuqud, the money also you can make the waqf out of it. The waqf not only for buildings. Buildings are very, very much important, are very needed. But sometimes people who are willing to borrow the money, to put the money as a waqf for 1 year, for 6 months, maybe for few months only, while the money is being invested, the income from this one, the revenue from that one, you want to be spent on refugees. Believe me, when you have given such kind of happiness, when you are allowing these children to smile, when you are allowing them to enjoy the childhood, when you are allowing the women to live in security and in very, very secure environment, when you are even allow the elderly people to sleep without having fear of being just like, the weather is making their life so terrible, believe me, there is no happiness in your life more than that one. So make sure that Muslims will get this one. It means that the wealthy among them will do that. Those who are giving zakat, we do not want you to just say to limit yourself to zakat. Go beyond the zakat. Go beyond whatever you could do. And then if you have already given a zakat, you have given obligation, but you could make a sadaqatun jariyah. That the sadaqatun jariyah, we do call it a waqf, which is needed to last today. If you need this refugee, they need to have some of the places where they have to build the schools. You need to have the payment. You want to pay for the salary of those people who are teaching these places. You want to take care of people who are taking care of them. You want to facilitate their access. You want to provide them with whatever they need, because the needs of the refugees cannot be just limited to food, to drink, to where to sleep, but they need psychological. They need to feel that we are part of them. We have to get their feeling. We have to have that feeling in our life that we are having brothers and sisters who have been blocked in a situation they never ever wanted it, never wanted it at the beginning, but it just happened. They were trapped. They were trapped into these situations there. They have been displaced. They have been, the war has taken over. People are fighting, and then they found themselves in between. They don't know what to do. They cannot defend themselves. They cannot get back to their houses. They cannot get back home. So there is a need for us, the scholars, all scholars, at whatever level they are. It's just enough for them to support this kind of thing. Enough for them to let it known to the people that you people are doing a great job and that you are working for us. You are working a work that we were supposed to do it. We are all called upon to do it like you. And we envy you, not because of anything, you are doing human job, something. You are bringing happiness to people who are looking for this happiness, who have been deprived from having this happiness. You are making these people, the human being, they wouldn't be desperate because they have nobody who could see anybody around there. They are living in darkness. They don't have light. They don't have anything. You are helping these people you are helping these kids to grow up in normal environment. Do not feel that they have been neglected. Do not feel that they have been just abandoned by the parent, by the community. We have these obligations, and the ulama will have this first responsibility. لَتُبَيِّنُنَّهُ لِلنَّاسِ وَلَا تَكْتُمُونَهُ. It is said in the Quran, you must and you have to explain and you have to clarify. And then you have to make it known to everybody what Allah wants you to do. By doing this is adaful iman. It would have been today you have the chances to go to teach these children in that places, to give them whatever they need from there, but call upon the Muslims and call upon all the wealthy people, all the anti people, that they could do something. Nevertheless, do not just underestimate your contributions, your talk, your write-up, your articles, your books, your communications, your whatever you do will be plus and will help these people to get out from these situations. Looking forward to seeing one day that we'll have 0 refugees around the world. And that is possible when the human beings get together, they work for peace, they work for security. I thank you.
Thank you, Professor Sana. I'd like here to actually use what our High Commissioner said on the anniversary of UNHCR when his only wish was that he's left out of a job at one day when we all have to leave this job and there's no refugee left in this world. This is, I think, the picture we'd like to have all of us as people contributing to this beautiful humanitarian work. And with your support, Professor Sano and Sheikh Sobedar, I also would like to really thank you for drawing this simple picture for people who are attending with us, and always in every seminar that we have, that refugees are just like you and me. They are families just like any other family. The only difference is that their circumstances. That's the only thing. I think if we can always remember this, we will be able to deliver or convey this picture to everyone who can support. I think we started to receive lots of questions. Before going to the questions from the attendees today and our guests, I'd like to ask Sheikh Sobedar, after what Professor Sanu said about how collectively, whether Islamic scholars or people who are able to contribute, and Professor Sano said that no action is small, no donation is small, anyone can contribute to this. From your perspective, Sheikh, as a representative of the Muslim community in Canada, what would you say is the role of Muslims in the West? I mean, in contributing to really alleviating the suffering and the supporting refugees and internally displaced in OIC countries. So how do you see the role evolving from your perspective?
Well, I mean, just to bank on the contribution aspect, we know that the Prophet ﷺ said, "Ittaqun nar walau bishiqqi tamra." Right? To save yourself from the fire, even if it's with a piece of a date, not even a full date, a piece of a date. I think what needs to be done first and foremost is greater awareness is being created within the masses as to what the true intensity of the situation on the ground of those camps are like, because there is a tremendous amount of unawareness, I'll put it like that. Myself, I mean, I'll use myself as an example. Until I did not partner with UNHCR, you hear things about refugees, but it's not something you pay a lot of attention to because it's not in your face so much. As they say, out of sight, out of mind, right? So what we really need to do is create that awareness and bring this, the attention or direct the attention of the Muslim community here, at least in Canada, towards how understanding how dire those situations, those circumstances are within those camps and within these various places within the world. So that's the first thing, is creating the awareness. And then the second thing is then actively directing them to send their funds in those places. And the reason I say this is because I served as an imam in one particular place for 18 years. And normally Ramadan is the time when everyone is taking out their zakah. And one of the questions I get asked again and again, even now, even though my role is not a full-time imam anymore, but even now I still get questions: where do I send my zakat to? Who can I give my zakat to? Who can I trust? Our Professor Dr. Khaled was telling us about the trust factor. This is one big question that is always asked: who can I trust to direct my funds to? Are they going to use it in admin fees? Is it going to be like 80% they're keeping for their administration and 20% is being distributed? How do I know? So this is the first thing that we need to do, is we need to educate people over the efforts of UNHCR. We need to let them know exactly how the funds are being managed and used, show them proper results. And hopefully, inshallah, we'll be able to move towards alleviating the situation on the ground, if not eliminating it, at least trying to improve it, inshallah.
Inshallah, Sheikh Subedar, with your support to organizations such as UNHCR and other organizations that working on the humanitarian sphere. I have some few questions from our guests. I'd like to ask Khaled to answer on behalf of UNHCR, please. One of Asma Rafiq is asking, does UNHCR cover the admin fees of Zakat-based programs from their unrestricted funding, or do they have separate partners who have stepped in to cover those costs? Thank you, Asma, for this very good question.
Thank you, Raifa, and thank you, Asma. The answer is yes. We cover it until now from untied funds, if we can use the term, until we reach a point where donors are educated enough to step in and decide to cover the administration fee. During my last 25 years in this sector, I came across one case only in my life when an individual donor actually came to an organization that we were working with in Indonesia after the tsunami. And it was a Christian organization, and I was working for Islamic Relief. And we were doing projects together in Banda Aceh, and that donor came from the US and he donated $500,000. And he said, I do not want this money to go to projects. I want this money to cover the administration fees. And this is a very inspiring example, but it is a completely different level of donor awareness that we have not reached until now.
Thank you, Khaled, for sharing this example. I hope we answered you, Asma. I think speaking of awareness, like Sheikh Subedar said, and you, Khaled, now, we have one of the guests, Ahmed Fadlan, who commented that, and that's a very, very good point, Ahmed. Thank you for sharing. We should have or do more efforts when it comes to awareness globally about Zakat and Muslim organizations across the globe, using social media and websites and all platforms to be able to help in the establishment of what Zakah means and how it can help in being part of the solution. So I think you can read the comment on the chat. Thank you, Ahmed, for sharing with us. There's another question that one of the guests, Yamiko, asked, and this is also for UNHCR, Khaled. I think that's the objective of this session, is to really share expertise and learning so we can maximize the potential of Zakat and other tools. So Khaled, the question is for organizations that are starting to explore this, what minimum expertise structure would you recommend they put in place to take it forward?
A very interesting question. That's Yamiko who's asking. So thank you. It's a very interesting question and very relevant. I think one of the main questions an organization should ask itself before engaging in something complicated as Islamic philanthropy is whether we have the capacity to do so or not. That's one. Second, if we do not have this capacity, what kind of capacity do we need? And if the organization does not have the political will to invest in making this work in a correct way, it's better not to do it. So you either do it right or not do it at all, because one mistake in this sector makes you lose the trust of partners forever. And once you lose the trust, it will take ages before you restore it. So that's my first advice. The second is, everybody is focusing so much on Zakat, but it's not the only tool. As Professor Sano and Sheikh Subedar mentioned, Al-Awqaf is another very flexible tool. Zakat is extremely restrictive because it is mandated and it is in the Quran. The recipients are identified. The regulations are very clear. It's the most restrictive Islamic philanthropy tool. And to decide to engage in it, you have to be prepared. That's why I am personally, though I'm working for the United Nations, I am not 100% sure about the collective system trying to engage in zakat because the system is not ready, to be honest. There are several areas that the system needs to work on before deciding to speak about zakat for SDGs and zakat for this and zakat for that. But there are other tools that can offer themselves much easier to such objectives. Al-Awqaf, السكوك الإسلامية is a beautiful tool that can achieve economic progress. Awqaf at a certain point in time, in the mainly the 7th and the 8th Hijri century, were playing a major role in social development. Ibn Battuta, when he visited Damascus, he said that the Awqaf in Damascus cannot be counted, and their objectives cannot be listed because there are so many. We have examples of something called Waqf al-Halib, for example, in Damascus, the milk endowment, where women who could not breastfeed their children would go to get milk and sugar to encourage breastfeeding. We had awqaf for animals. We had awqaf for entertainment, awqaf for education, and all of that. So awqaf is extremely flexible. I would advise an organization that is not ready to do zakat, not to start doing zakat before they are ready, and to think of other tools that can be easier to implement.
Thank you very much, Khaled. Allow me please to take the opportunity to invite Dr. Ahmed Al-Miraikhi, the Special Advisor to the UNSG, who's one of the leaders of this dialogue, for his thoughts and comments. I think the conversation is really very interesting and would like to hear your thoughts, Dr. Ahmed Al-Miraikhi, on how Islamic philanthropy tools can grow its potential with the presence of our esteemed speakers today. Dr. Ahmed, may I invite you to speak, please?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
I am sorry, I don't know what is, I think the co-host not allowing me to start my video, but I am very enjoying with this seminars, and I am glad that I'm with the figure that we have them today, like Professor Sono and my brother Khaled, long time working together. And every day I become a believer in this initiative where we started like 3 months ago, and every day we found that momentum. This seminar show us how important is to have this kind of fund, and how can we use the Islamic social finance through the UN agencies. And today we have one example from the UNHCR, and I hope this example could be, in the future as a mechanism to open for everyone to be on board. And I'm glad to have a brother from Canada as well, as we have also from Africa two seminars ago, and from Asia and all over the world, and that show us that this initiative, it will be succeed, and it's give us actually the push. And I would like to thank Professor Sano for his support for this initiative, and for his support for the مجمع الفقه sensitive, the مجمع الفقه with us. So I think it make this initiative also stronger. In the other hand, I would like to, as the speaker mentioned, that we don't want to have only the millions, but we want to have a billions, and it's not possible to have happen unless we have a system within the international organization, like a UN organization. So if we can have a mechanism that has been adopted by the UN, so in this case we can help everyone to be on board. As Brother Khaled mentioned, and answer question that it is better to have the capability and the capacity to do this kind of mechanism. We cannot do it alone. So this is the idea of having mechanism within the UN system that help everyone to work collectively and to work in a proper. And the good thing with this this initiative that we started very careful and try to hear from everyone. We give the opportunity for everyone to share their opinion, and we try to not leave anyone behind. So all the best, and thank you to give me the floor to give my comment. And I would like to thank also Dr. His Excellency Dr. Sono and my brother Khaled and my brother Suwid from Canada, and all the best. And also, I'm sorry, my video didn't.
Okay.
Didn't.
It's okay. Lady Raifa.
Please keep trying, Dr. Murefi. Would like to see you on the panel. And thank you very much. We can see you.
Finally, it was kept by Dr. Raifa.
I tried
That's
from the beginning, but unfortunately I couldn't. Sorry about
that. Good to see you. Thank you very much, Dr. Murefi, for your intervention and for making this happen, for being really behind this initiative and for making it happen. Thank you so much. And please continue with us today so we can hear more from your expertise in the field. Thank you very much. We have, I think we still have some time left for more discussions. I can see that more questions are coming in from our guests today. And I'm sorry if I've missed some of the questions. We have a good point mentioned by Dr. Elnor Salivic. I'm sorry if I did not pronounce the name right. Deputy Secretary General of World Zakat Forum. So Dr. Elnor saying that there's no doubt that refugees are among priority categories for receiving zakat, and UNHCR can be proper partner that would, in collaboration with zakat agencies, distribute successfully portion of zakat. However, key issue is whether certain international, I lost it, I'm sorry. Yes. Certain international standards, whether including an organization like UNHCR can or should operate as a zakat collecting agency and provide proper internal Sharia supervision as one of basic requirements for properly authorized zakat agencies. Just a reminder that zakat is pillar of Islam and Muslims have responsibility to make proper systems of zakat collection and distribution as was in time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Thank you for this. I think this is a very important point that maybe you've touched upon it. Our esteemed speakers have already touched upon the issue of transparency, trust, and credibility, but I will invite my speakers to answer this specific concern. And thank you again, Dr. Elnor. Khaled, would you like to say a few words?
I can say a few words from my perspective, though لا يفتى ومالك في المدينة. Dr. Sano is with us.
No problem. Go ahead.
As well. So they can shed more light about the Sharia aspect and the possibility of distributing zakat through wakils or wukala. We are not 100% keen on the collection business. And this is something that I keep explaining to zakat houses worldwide. And I know that there is a concern, a big concern among zakat houses in certain parts of the world about international organizations stepping into the zakat field sector and trying to do collection. Though our scholars worldwide say that it is permissible. However, I am trying to offer a different model whereby Zakat houses do the collection. We do not have any problem with that. We are actually encouraging that very much, that the Zakat houses and the Muslim organizations who are working with the grassroots, who are working with the donors, let them do the collection. But honestly, and if we are really honest about the capacity on the ground, I don't think Zakat houses have the capacity to distribute in certain parts of the world. If you are a Zakat house in the US, for example, or in Canada, or in the UK, or do you have the capacity to implement in a refugee situation in Bangladesh, or in Afghanistan, or in Somalia, or in Yemen? You will also do it through partners, and you will have administration fees. So we are offering a very economic way of doing business that maximizes the impact of zakat, and this is maqsad al-sharia from this whole endeavor, is ta'zim al-fa'ida, maximizing the benefit. If we can cover the administration fees for the zakat collectors and do it in a way that is sharia compliant, and we have scholars who are reviewing our implementation and correcting the path, and we are doing it according to the benchmarks recommended by the scholars. So I do not see a reason why not to do it. Actually, it is recommended to do it through an entity that can do it in a very efficient way, and at the same time cover the administration fees for you. That's my 2 cents on that. I'm sorry to be passionate because it's a tough question, but thank you very much, Dr. Noor, very valid.
Thank you, Khaled, Professor Sano. And just to say, Sheikh Subedar had to leave us to catch his flight, and he thanks everyone. And I would like to thank him as well for being with us today, and hopefully we can meet more in the future. Professor Sano, over to you, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for Dr. Khaled. We have correctly mentioned, which is a very important, and which we really could encourage the people to come to you when you come to this distribution of zakat. The recipient, the 8th recipient of zakat, one of the recipients is called al-amilin. إنما الصدقات للفقراء والمساكين والعاملين عليها. The administrators, the people, the collectors, the distributors, but which is a very unique in your effort, that you have decided not to take anything for this administration of zakat or distribution of zakat, except if those people are willing to give in addition to what they give here, which you're going to give. Yeah, you say ta'zim al-manafi', you give more benefit and more profit to those people who are really in need. The 8 recipients, among that recipient, if the collector or the administrators, there used to be in the past people who could be in the form of the state, could be the people who are sending them, the people who are organization or association, then is making it sense that showing how transparent you have been in doing this. I had the chance yesterday to exchange with Dr. Ahmed Al-Morehi, which is a very important that all the UN agencies are willing to come. They are not willing just to tell this, because most of our wealthy people might be saying, oh, if you give them the money, they might spend it on their own business, on their own administrations. But you are coming to tell them, look, as far as the administration-wise, administration cost means, it doesn't, don't be worried about it. We are covering it from other sources, not only from these sources. So therefore, we just want to appreciate and to conform to call upon the Muslims, or upon those wealthier, or upon the people who are able today to give zakat. Please go ahead, do not hesitate. You have no reason to hesitate, because the money is in the hands of people who are willing even to add to you. But bear in mind, you will be still rewarded because of the things. You have decided your portion, which has to be given for the amilin, you are putting it together with whatever you are giving it to the needy people. That is a great job. You are doing it. Do not think that it's just like, okay, you're not getting the reward from here, then you're getting it over there and the hereafter, which is a very important for. And you did mention something which is a very important about the waqf. I do believe Waqaf, we need to go for this one. You could have Waqaf for so many issues. So many Muslims could give away the Waqaf today. You do not need to be very rich. You have no reason for you to be waiting. But this is the Waqaf, the particularity of the Waqaf at that level, that you will continue to receive the reward, even when you and I, we are no longer here in this life. This is the quality of Sadaqatun Jariyah. And the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, what he said, when men passed away, everything will stop except three things. Except three things, they will continue. He will continue to enjoy the fruits of these three things. He will continue to be happy wherever he is in his grave from these three things. Sadaqatun Jariyah. Sadaqatun Jariyah. That is the sadaqah, a change of the nature of the sadaqah, we call it today waqaf. Somebody has something that just built a school where this refugee is there, who have finance, who are sponsored the kids who are going to school, who are giving food to these people to maintain them to be alive. Yeah. So Sadaqatun Jariyah, that will continue wherever you will be. In your grave, you will be enjoying getting the blessings of Allah for this one there. The second thing is about ilmun yuntafa'u bihi. If it happened that those people are teaching in that area, they are giving the knowledge, they are educating the children, you are contributing to their education through your participation. It's not only the teacher who is doing it in the class, but who is paying the teacher and who is providing the teacher of all the things there. He or she will also get this reward of ilmin yuntafa'u bihi. And lastly, if it happened that the kids who will grow and they would still remember the parents and pray for the parents in any time, wherever they pray, they remember the parents because they are the fruits of the parents. They are the parents who brought them up and parents who brought them to this education there. So we will be calling upon our scholars, our wealthy people, our Muslims all over the world at all levels, regardless their financial status, that think about giving a little bit of waqaf. If you have not, your money, your wealth has not reached the nisab, but waqaf, you don't need to have a nisab. It's just enough for you. If you have a pen, you have the pens, you want to send it, you have whatever it could be, these people who need it, just send it and then make it the waqaf and they will get that reward for this one there. So Islam wants you, and you are doing something great, even though our million has been considered as one of the recipients, because we are having fuqara, we're having masakin, we're having al-amilin aliha, we're having a firriqab, we're having al-mu'allafat qulubuhum, and we're having ibn sabil, and you having a fi sabilillah, you are having all al-gharimin, these 8 people, among them the administrator and collector. But you are doing great to say no, a portion of that one, let it be for this one. So Muslims who are willing also to give, they could give the waqaf for that. When you come for the distributions, for the collections, if you have given, you don't want the zakat, you want the zakat to go straight. And then you want some people to get the money to be unsponsored. So I hope that all of our institutions and associations will follow your model. That's one. It will give. We are in era, it's not easy for the wealthy people to let the money go away. So they will be creating all kind of excuses sometime. They might be willing to, I'm not sure, the money will not reach the people there, but you are telling them, don't be worried. If you give me 100,000, if you give me 1,000, your money, the 1,000 will reach them and they will benefit, they will enjoy it. So this is one of the ways to really to encourage the people. As Dr. Ahmad said tomorrow, when the United Nations organization agencies, they are putting together all their efforts to come together and help and make sure that the zakat will be beneficial, will benefit these people. How could you talk? How could you imagine and explain it? With $550 billion or $600 billion couldn't help the problem of what you call it 200 and 250 if you take all these refugees in the world. Believe me, the only zakat could help it. But it's just so complicated that people are not willing to give this. Let's get portion from here and there until the day will come. Dr. Ahmad, Lady Raifa, and all of us will enjoy free scholarship, free refugees. And then we don't mind to be jobless, it's okay. But for the good cause, then because we have helped nations, we have helped building humanity, build mankind who will be very contributive and will be a positive element for the advancement of the world itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Sano. I just, being aware of the time, I don't want to take much of your time today, our guests and speakers, but there is a very interesting question that I think it can be of a benefit for a lot of our participants today. Question to you, Dr. Sano. Can an organization whose staff are mixed between Muslims and non-Muslims collect and distribute zakat? And can they be considered عاملون عليها?
Yes, Amilun Aliyah has no citizenship, no nationality, no religion. An administrator, a worker, who he or she will be able to get the money and distribute it. Because that the Quran, wal-amilina, in Arabic, صيغة العموم. It is all كل عامل وكل فقير وكل مسكين وكل غارم وكل رقاب. So in Arabic, the Quran was very specific, was very, very distinctive in this one. It wouldn't just say amilin, but say wal amilin alayha. So I think Muslims and non-Muslims, all organizations are most welcome to do what they could do, collecting or distributing. Both of them are considered as amilin.
Thank you, Professor Sano. And I think UNHCR is a great example in that for the diversity of its staff and at all levels. So thank you again for confirming that for our participants. And Khaled, there is yes, please go ahead, Khaled.
Yeah, I just wanted to make an additional comment. And again, thank Professor Sano for his opinion from a Sharia perspective that organizations with mixed staff can actually distribute and collect zakat. I just want to say that in UNHCR, we've gone the extra mile. We know that some extreme opinions say that all the staff must be Muslims to be considered amilin alayh. Though we do not agree, and the majority of Muslim scholars do not agree, and the fatwas we received from different religious authorities say otherwise, we wanted to close this door. The main issue for al-amilina alayha is not actually the mechanism of the collection itself. It's the money they charge. It's the money that they charge, and Muslim organizations worldwide charge up to 12.5% from the zakat collections, because they consider al-amiluna alayha or al-amilina alayha one of the 8 categories, and they divide the 100 by 8, then 12.5%, which they charge. We wanted to close the door ونتجنب الشبهات completely. So we said we are not charging any fees, since some rare opinions say that all the staff must be Muslim. So I do not really see where the problem is when it comes to an organization like UNHCR, whose artificial character is international and mixed, to handle zakat as wakil for distribution or wakil for collection without charging anything, which actually answers the question about even the suspicion, the slightest suspicion of not doing that.
Thank you very much, Khaled. May we end with one of the technical questions that one of our colleagues, our attendees from IOM, Sarhan. Thank you for the question. The question is also, I think we're revolving around the same topic with fees and administrative fees and credibility and trust. So a technical question regarding UN levy of 1%. Would be very interested to hear the opinions of the panelists, whether it's permissible by Sharia that 1% UN levy can be charged to zakat, sadaqah funded initiatives and implemented by UNHCR and other UN agencies.
I don't know if I should answer, but it's a good idea. But again, it's not the percentage. 1% is like 10%, like 12%. It's the principle itself. It's not the percentage, it's not the amount. And taking 1% in principle, if it is permissible, equals the 12% or makes it possible for you to charge the 12%. If it's not permissible, then even a fraction of 1% shouldn't be levied. So in the future, inshallah, when we are talking hundreds of millions of dollars, I hope we will reach a point where by some zakat donor will come willingly to say, we want you to cover the administration fees from our zakat contributions. And that's what we are working towards. We are not doing it, and we are not planning to do it in the near future until we reach the level, the required level of awareness. And we need voices like Dr. Sano, like Al-Azhar, like the World Muslim League, who represented the whole Muslim world, to keep stressing the messages in order to change the mindset and create a conducive environment to make zakat really a tool of social change.
Thank you, Khaled, for this. Professor Sano, if you'd like to add any few words from your end.
I will just say, which is needed is the real cost of any activity for collecting or for distributing. We would like to make sure that whatever we'll be taking is not a profit for the organization, nor it is a profit for the association or the agency. It is the cost, real cost. Traveling from this place to that place, working within this and this, what is the real cost? Then not on the basis of the percentage as Dr. Khaled rightly mentioned it, but on the basis of the real cost. When you talk about the amini, the money is not given to them because of just like that, they want to enjoy the money. But we want to cover their cost. We want to make sure that this will be in help to them to work and then to provide them the environment that they need. They need to get the car, they need to get the plane, they need to get to work, they also need to have family, they will have to do all the things. So the real cost of such activity could be taken. For instance, for the zakat, it is not said that you must divide the money into these 8 people. No, you will have to take into account the need of each. Sometimes you could give, if you have 100% you want to divide it, then you could give some 20, some 30, some 35, some 45, some 40. And that has to do with the institution, which will be measuring the needs of any one of these recipient and decide accordingly. The cost-wise, it's not to be, if I'm giving 30% to the poor or to the needy, I have to give 30% to the al-amilin. No, maybe the amilin do not need all the things. They will only need 10% or 5%, and they will have to be taken into that. So what is needed these days is we want to get more people to accept, to have adhesion to this one, to accept the basic that the zakah will have to be distributed to these people, and then try to find the ways and means from other sources. Organizations have sometimes the sources where they could take care of especially if the amount is very small, it's not that big, it wouldn't be enough for the collection, or wouldn't be enough to cover the cost of the collection or the cover of the distribution, then the agency will have to take into account. We'll have to give the privilege. We'll have to give this is the opportunity, how to really, because you are having 2 evils, I could just say. The poverty is the evil. People are working also without being paid. This is also creating another poverty. So we do not want these 2 poverty to be around. So we get away from both of them by giving and taking into account the real cost of each. Real cost for those people who are collecting and the real cost of those people who are distributing. By doing so, definitely there will not be problem, as the Prophet Muhammad SAW used to give this in Amilin Alayha. It came into the number 3 from the zakat, because it's very important. You wouldn't be say the zakat is many hands. If you don't get the administrators, you don't get the collectors. The zakat wouldn't get this, you didn't get where you are bringing them today. Some people are not being willing to go there. They are having some problem with the organizations and transferring the money today. If the agencies that is not well known, it's not well accepted like yours and others, then it wouldn't be easy for so many of these organizations or so many of the recipients, especially those who are in the refugees area. How many of people who could get access to them? How many people who have connection that will go and get the money? If we might be willing to give the money, but I don't have access there. So your agency, your organization is coming to facilitate and make sure that the money will get, and I will appreciate once it has to be paid, it has to be the real cost. And real cost will have to be measured on the basis of transparency. As you know well, such kind of activity will need how much money. So that's it. I hope all the best, and I hope many agencies will do as you do right now, because the amount that we are receiving, it's not that big enough to cover the expenses. If you get other sources to cover the expenses of collecting and distributing, you are doing a great job. God bless you.
Thank you, Professor Sano. God bless you, and I want to thank all our speakers today. Before going back to the questions that our guests have asked, I think we've covered them all, and I'm sorry if I've missed any of the questions. We can hopefully address that in future sessions. Just before we close, I'd like to take a step back and ask a few final words from Professor Sano and my colleague, Mr. Khalifa, on how this discussion fits with the overall goals in achieving sustainable development goals, because this is what the session is about. I know we went into a deep dive of how Islamic social finance can help to be part of the solution in the humanitarian context. But if we take a step back and think of the bigger picture, how do you think, in few words, we are in this discussion helping in achieving these goals? Just a few words and then we close. Thank you.
Would you want to start? Professor, please go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, please, Doctor. Please. Listen to you.
Then we conclude with you, inshallah. The Sustainable Development Goals, Raifa and colleagues on the line, are quite wide as well. We have goals addressing different issues of humanity, from hunger to partnerships and building partnerships, from environmental protection to healthcare. And this makes the possibility of contributing to the achievement of the goals wider. Islamic philanthropy, on the other hand, and the Islamic finance vis-a-vis Islamic philanthropy, we didn't have a chance to differentiate, has so many tools that can fit within the 17 goals and serve them. What is required from my perspective is for the United Nations and partners worldwide to identify the best tools for the right SDG. So we need to match between the tools, and I mentioned that in different ways and different words today. Not all the tools are on equal distance of suitability to all the SDGs. So we need to make sure that we are addressing the right issue and trying to prescribe the right solution and the right medication for the disease. So this is, in a nutshell, what I want to say, that we need to exert more effort in identifying the right tools and exploring their full potential, and then create probably pilot projects that could be replicated and enlarged until we reach a self-sustaining system that can continue beyond the individual initiatives like what we are doing in a single organization.
Thank you very much, Khaled. Professor?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think Dr. has already said almost that we could share the same value and the same point of view. This sustainable development issue, when you come to this human development, what we needed to do to work on it, this is one of the main issues for the human development today. We wouldn't be developed while having in our side, in the East or in the West or in the Middle, wherever, such a group of human beings living beyond the natural, the normal status of life. So the human development will have to take into account. We will have to be focusing and try to use all the mechanisms and means and tools that could be helpful to solve the problem of this one. I think it is a huge challenge, and it is such an challenge for the humanity, before all mankind, that we will have to clear and that we have to solve the problem of these refugees. By doing so, we would have been making a progress towards this is achieving the real goals of this human development. I'm not imagining, I'm not thinking that there will be such human development while the number of the refugees is increasing in the world. We should have work harder. We should make sure that the roots of making people, of increasing, it has to go all the time. We should be, the United Nations itself should have to set a timetable for themselves when and how we will finish with this human refugees, or the crisis at the level of these human refugees. We do not want to have refugees. How we do so, the human development will have to go to good governance, getting this, solving the problems, providing the means, having the reconciliations, and putting an end to what do you call the endless war, and bringing the people together and trying to make sure that people will accept differences and they will accept to live together. When we do all the things, believe me, we are free from refugees. We could be proud of living in an environment where human development has been achieved, its main goal, which is prosperity, which has been shared prosperity, shared happiness, and shared stability, and shared security for all. I hope you all the best, and God bless all your efforts and the efforts of the United Nations in this area, in this field. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Sano. I think the conversation, I myself enjoying it a lot, and I'm sure our guests as well. Thank you very much for this fruitful deliberations, for this rich and diverse discussion. I think our guests and speakers today were added a lot to the mix today, and I would really thank you, Professor Sano, for being a pioneer in that aspect and for supporting UNHCR's initiatives all the way. Sheikh Subedar, he had to leave us. I would like also to thank him on behalf of UNHCR and all participants for his amazing contribution and for his partnership with UNHCR. Dr. Ahmed Al-Mureikhi, thank you for being also a great support to this discussion and for making this happen. My colleague, Mr. Khalifa, thank you for your great intervention and for carrying the flagship of the Refugee Zakat Fund wherever you go. I think today was, for me personally, it was an honor to be around such esteemed speakers and panelists. Thank you again, and thank you for all the participants who sent their questions. I would like to remind everyone that also there would be a session on 20th of October to speak about Zakat initiatives by our sister agency, UNRWA. So we're inviting also people to be part of the discussion and to register as soon as possible. Just ending like Professor Sano ends all the time, God bless you all. And thank you so much for your attending and for your attendance and for being with us today. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Well done, Raif.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.